All right, what is up, my friends? Welcome to my Strixhaven full set review, green. That's right, constructed, limited, every single card. So far, we've done lessons, white, blue, black, and red. Now we're doing green. Again, every card. You missed any of it, it'll be on my YouTube, of course. Watching on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know what a card you think is best here and how wrong I am in all the cards. I'm sure you'll love to tell me that. And let's just go. Let's just go. Green, starting off with Accomplished Alchemist. 4 mana for a 2/5. It's decent butt there.
Oh my god.
And we have a elf druid that taps for mana of any color. Sure. And tap for X mana of any one color, where X is the amount of life you've gained this turn. Now, there's like this weird, sort of life gain theme in Golgari. Did I say Golgari? I meant to say Witherbloom. Yeah. And the thing is, there aren't a lot of things that actually just gain life proper. There's a lot of tokens that will gain 1 life here and there. While this card's a very, very powerful card in I guess commander and certain scenarios, doesn't seem superly powerful for constructed, standard and so on and so forth. 4 mana is a lot. It's a pretty big butt, but it's kind of slow. It's kind of weird. And the problem is that the cards that would be good with this aren't going to be good in any other scenario. So if you don't have this card in play, your life goes on or whatever, doesn't do anything. So it's kind of a cute card. I don't think this is this is more of a commandery card for sure. In limited, however, this card's a house. A 2/5 or 4, mana of any color, can possibly give you a lot of mana maybe at times. Solid card limited. Solid card limited for sure. Assuming your deck wants to, make mana and ramp and so on and so forth. But yeah, not really a constructed card for sure. All you commander players, have a great time with this one in your life gain decks. Up next is Bayou Groff. Bayou Groff. Groff. And this card seems very, very good for limited. We'll start with limited. This seems like a key common for all of your Witherbloom decks. There are a number of good 1 mana cards that are sacrifice fodder at common and uncommon of a set that are really easy to play on 1 and cast on 2. 5/4 on 2 is freaking huge in limited. Huge, monstrous. It does die to some of their removal spells that cost 3, but this card seems really, really important. And then we have the option, of course, of later in the game, just a 5 mana 5/4, which is also fine. So you don't want to sacrifice a Birds of Paradise to this card or whatever, This definitely is a synergy card you're going to want in your Witherbloom deck that has a lot of fodder creatures, things that make tokens, whatever it is. But when you do that, I said doo-doo. When you do that, I said it again. That's really, really, really good. So super solid card here. There isn't really a pacifism in this set, is there? So we'll be going against that, obviously, but it doesn't really exist. But super solid card. Going to be a linchpin of the Witherbloom decks in this format for sure. It's almost like a green-black card in that it wants to be played in green-black specifically. But very, very good card in limited. Constructed, a little tough for constructed. A 5/4 for 2 is good in constructed. And there are, obviously, you can build your deck in a manner where you're playing, say, Stitcher Supplier on turn 1. And you sacrifice it on turn 2, which is kind of cool. So, that's kind of cool, but probably not good enough. There's plenty of Heartless Axe and Eliminates and other things to kill this. So, it's probably not there constructed. Maybe it's a 5/5, maybe in constructed, maybe make it. But at 5/4, probably not. But definitely a real, real good limited card. Going to be one of the key limited cards in the format, I think. This card is going to swing a lot of games. A lot of games. Bayou Groff. Get your Bayou Groffs now. Up next is Big Play. 2 mana for an instant. Target creature gets +2/+2 and gains reach on of turn. Put a +1/+1 counter on it. So, I always talk about these kind of middling 2 mana pump spells. +2/+2 indestructible, +2/+2 in flying. They're just not great, This one's kind of cool. Face value, it's 2 mana for a giant growth, which isn't great. That's a lot more than 1. Again, I love 1 mana tricks. I don't like 2 mana tricks. But leaving a counter is pretty good. And not only are you sizing your creature up for later, which is great, but there's also counter synergies with things as well. This card's solid. This card's pretty solid, realistically. It's still cost 2. Wouldn't want a lot of this. I wouldn't want a lot of this card, but I think it is a very reasonable trick in limited. More so if you care about counters. If you don't care about counters, I'm less pumped about it. But it's a decent card. It's a decent card for sure. Bookworm is next. We have our chunky 8-drop. This is a sealed deck game winner. And if your draft deck can make mana, this card's also a house. 8 mana for a 7/7 trample that gains 3 life and draws a card. So, kind of card where you cast it, you're going to win most games. Blockworm, very similar. It's also splashable. So, we could definitely see this card like, my blue-red control deck needs a way to win. I'll splash a green land, and here we go, Bookworm. It also has the ability of 3 mana. You put it from your graveyard to your library, 3rd from the top. So it just keeps coming back. It's slow as hell. But this is exactly what you want your slow as hell card to be. An absolute unit that gains life or stabilize. It tramples, it draws cards, an absolute unit. So if you can cast it, if you're playing a slow deck in limited, this is the card for you. This is a real chonker. No constructed, but real chonker in limited. Yeah, it's really, really good. Up next is chargethrough. Now, this card is going to be very important. This is the only 1 mana cantrip in the entire set, I believe. Magecraft is a big deal. Magecraft is the mechanic where whenever you play an instant or sorcery or copy an instant or sorcery, you trigger the Magecraft. And any way to keep triggering stuff is really, really important. Now, the problem here is unlike a card like Crash Through, a far superior card in every way, this targets. So you can get blown out. I cast this on my creature. They kill it in response. And I'm sad. Really sad. So there is a cost here. But it's instant. Draws a card. Triggers Magecraft. This is a phenomenal draft card. Yes, they're also playing Quidditch. I know. It's pretty funny. Don't tell Watsy. But I think I see the snitch. So, the snitch. So, yeah, really, really important card. This card is not playable in Modern. All right? People are like, oh my god, I can get my Shadow Trample. Crash Through already exists. It's a much better card. It's not good in Prowess. It's not good in Shadow. Crash Through exists. However good you think this card is, Crash Through already is that good. You're just not playing it enough. All right? So, that being said, very solid card in constructed, in standard. If Magecraft's gonna be a thing, this card's reasonable. It's just a solid card. It's also very good with Goldspan Dragon. This actually is a ritual with Goldspan Dragon that draws a card, which is pretty sweet too. So powerful card, good nuts and bolts kind of card. Card sweet. Crash Through is a sorcery, yes, but why do you need to play an instant? Crash Through doesn't get fizzled, folks. Again, if you cast this card on your creature and they kill your creature in response, you are dead. You've lost the game. You have no tempo. You lost card advantage. You're in big doo-doo. Crash Through's in everything. Crash Through's the bomb. The only advantage is for Feather, or Goldspan Dragon. But again, and targeting your opponent's stuff, it's just 1 green, draw a card. That's not even like that good. So, but yeah, this card's great. Going to see a lot of play for Magecraft stuff. Card's super sweet. I like this card a lot in limited and constructed. Devouring Tendrils. 2 mana for a sorcery. Target you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker you don't control. And when that thing dies, you gain 2 life. This is a good draft card. This is just your Rabid Bite of the set. Being a sorcery is a lot worse than being an instant, but gaining 2 life is nice. It's good. Just good, really good draft card. Good removal unlimited. Up next is Dragon Guard's Elite. And this card is pretty good. So this is 2 mana for a 2/2. Magecraft, as we were saying. Whenever you cast or copy a spell, instant sorcery, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. And then later on, you can pay 6 mana to double the number of counters on it. Everyone loves this card. This card's overrated based on how much everyone loves it. It's fine. It's not great. Problem being that green is like the worst Magecraft color. What green deck is playing a bunch of spells in it? You know? Like, you're playing a lot of creatures. If you pump spells, maybe. You know, like, Sprite Dragon's is in the right colors. This card isn't. It is good with adventures. It is true. But realistically, this becomes a 3/3. Sure. That's like fine. It still dies to stomp. It's just okay. It's not great. It's fine. It's very medium. It's an okay card. Does it fill some holes? Sure. Is it okay? Sure. Is it great? It's all right. It's all right. I think this could have been an uncommon. I think this card was an uncommon. People wouldn't like notice it as much. But Quirion Dryad, where are you? Where are you? It gets chumped all day long. The double counter effect is like pretty lame also. It's just an okay card. And limited is great. It's a great draft card. Phenomenal draft card. But in constructed, Ecological Appreciation. This card's really cool. Green 2X. Sorcery. Search your library and graveyard for up to 4 creature cards with different names that each have the same CMC or less, and reveal them. An opponent chooses 2 of these cards. Those 2 cards get shuffled away, and you get the other 2. Exile this. So it's sort of like Gifts Ungiven, but you get meets Collected Company. You get to put the cards into actual play. Now, X is 1, not very good. You're spending 4 mana to get 2 mana worth of cards. X is 2, you're spending 5 mana to get 4 mana worth of cards. Not very good. X is 3, now we're spending 6 mana to get 6 mana worth of creatures, which is pretty good. And we can spread things out enough. This is more for older formats, but in Modern, there's a lot of redundancy where you can get like Knight of Autumn, Reclamation Sage, whatever, like redundant cards. It does stuff. And then I'm sure there's combos of this as well. I don't know what. At 7 mana, this gets 2 4/4s. Now you're up on mana. So is this card expensive? Yes. Is it powerful? Yeah, it is pretty powerful, honestly. Is it going to be good enough and constructed? Maybe not. Maybe not. But it is a very powerful card. It can do pretty powerful things. It's a very fun card. It's just a cool card. I don't know. Just like cast this for 4 mana and whatever, and just like go get some 4-drops and put them in play. And it's just a cool card. I don't know. So definitely a cool card. It's just fun. It's just fun. In limited, this card's also pretty solid because you just cast this for like 6 mana or 7 mana or whatever, and you're just gonna get some decent value for it, which is pretty cool. So kind of cool. Again, Gifts Ungiven and Collect Company had a baby, and this is it. And it's just a cool card. I just like it. I don't know. I just like it. Emergent Sequence. 2 mana for a sorcery. Search library for a basic land card. Put it on the battlefield tapped. Then the land becomes a 0/0 fractal creature. It's still a land, and you put a +1/+1 counter on it for each land that you had enter the battlefield under your control this turn. This is not Rampant Growth, all right? People see this card and they go, oh my god, Rampant Growth. Rampant Growth is really, really good. This is more like a kind of a 2 mana elf, essentially. Like, say it was just a 2/2 for 2, but taps for 2. Or tap for 1, I mean. That's all right. It's fine, Most times you cast this, made a land drop. You cast this, so it gets 2 counters on it. Then they lightning bolt it or stomp it or whatever, and it's basically like you played a creature. What makes Rampant Growth good is you can't bolt the ramp. It's gone. I mean, it's not killable. So that's our ramp. That's why land ramp is usually very good. So this is basically just a mana dork, essentially, even though it's got a lot of words on it. Just a mana dork. So is that good? It's fine. It's fine. Later in the game, if you crack a Fable Passage, or you like play 2 of these in 1 turn, they can be bigger for sure. But it's fine. It's a fine card. It triggers landfall for sure. It's definitely not a bad card, but it's not Rampant Growth. It's definitely not Rampant Growth. So we'll see play. Probably, yeah. I think it's reasonable enough because realistically, a 2/2 for 2 that ramps is kind of fine. A little bit upside here and there. Any sort of +1/+1 counter synergy is reasonable. Any sort of landfall synergy is reasonable. So there are certainly like things that you can add on top of this to make it reasonable. It's a cool card. It's a cool card, but it's not just Rampant Growth. You cannot equate this card to Rampant Growth. You're gonna have a bad time. You gotta have something else going on with this card that makes you want to do what it's doing. So, and limited, this card's great. because a 2/2 ramp creature for 2 is awesome. So solid limited card. It's also any creature that's also a instant or sorcery is going to be great and limited because it's a creature that triggers your magecraft stuff, which is really, really cool too. So great draft card. Up next is exponential growth. I can't stand these freaking math cards. I can't stand it. Exponential growth. Get it? It's like a math thing. It's got X, figure it, solve for X. Green, XX. Sorcery. Until end of turn, double target creature's power X times. All right, so at 4 mana, it doubles it once. At 6 mana, it doubles it twice. We get the gist, you know? Just a kind of stupid cute card. There's already a 2 mana instant that does this in standard. That sees a little bit of play with Goldspan Dragon, but this just doesn't give trample. This doesn't do anything. This card freaking sucks. And in limited, same thing. Like, also you have some unblockable creature. Like, this card's really, really bad. What's up, CGB? How's it going, my friend? I'm not explaining math. We're done. No more math. I'm done. I'm sick of reading cards. I'm sick of math. There's too many words in this set. Field trip is next. I need a field trip. 2 mana for a sorcery. Search for a forest. A basic forest, important to note. Put it on the battlefield tapped. Then shuffle. So we have another learn card here. So again, we went over the lessons first. If you missed it, look for it on YouTube. The first thing we did was lessons to help contextualize these learn cards. Lessons are like half a card. They're pretty overcosted, but they're like companions. They sit in your sideboard, and they're like kind of like a free card in this sense. So they're pretty good. And you can also rummage, which is not as important on this card. But so we have a 2 mana rampant growth here. 3 mana is a lot worse than 2. It only gets a forest, so no fixing either. It's the tough one. This card's not particularly great. What deck wants to ramp into only forests and tap out on turn 3 to do so, and then wants a learn card? There are cool learn cards to ramp into. The 7 mana mythic lesson card is pretty sweet, but just like not super exciting. I could definitely see play if the right scenario were to present itself, but it's just kind of like, it's all right. And then limited, this card's fine. I mean, this card is contextual based on the quality of the lesson cards in your sideboard. It's a thing. Up next is Fortifying Drought. 1 green for an instant. Gain 2 life. Then, creature gets +X on a turn. Where X is the amount of life you gain this turn. In limited, this is a giant growth, which is kind of cool, honestly. Like, I love 1 mana tricks. It's very, very reasonable. And it's okay. It's okay. And then, for constructed, I'm not sure what life gain deck needs a pump spell. You know? Fortifying Draft, sure. Because, like, the thing is that it gains life and pumps, I guess. But realistically, like, what deck wants this? You know, like, the life gain Angels deck in Historic cares about creatures and company and stuff like that. So, it's kind of just, like, a card, you know? If you can gain a lot of life at once, you can use it as a Might Evokes or whatever. But again, like, I don't know what deck wants this card. The effect is sort of interesting. It's reasonable on rate. You know, +2/+2 for 1 is fine. It is fine. But it's not a great enabler. It's not a great payoff for life gain. It's just okay. Just okay. It's also asking to get blown out too. You go big on your angel and they kill it. You get blown out, you know? So yeah, I mean, cool limited card. Probably not for constructed. Up next is Gnarled Professor. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Excellent.
Best in Show. I really wanted to give Best in Show in white to the 2-drop learn creature. Gnarled Professor is just a big version of that. 5/4 trample for 5 is reasonable. Is it great? No. That's not awesome. But we get to learn here. And in a larger, chunkier green deck, there's a pretty good variety of lesson cards we can go get. Of course, the mythic one, which is the 7 mana spell that makes 3 tokens. The Best in Show for lessons was the green Disenchant, another good card to get, which is awesome. So, card's solid. Card's solid. This is a little more based on the fact that, again, the monocolored cards in this set are not particularly powerful. Most of the power in any multicolored set is concentrated in the multicolored cards. So, is this card insane? No. But I think this card is very, very solid. It's a very, very solid card. Card advantage. Think of it as a 5/4 that comes into play and draws a card, which is pretty sweet. Little card advantage. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, Love Struck and Bone Crusher are really, really good. For sure. But, card suite. Card suite. In limited, this card's an absolute bomb. Just a super, super efficient card. You thought Seraph's Packmate was good. This card's awesome. And Instructed, I don't think this card has a chance in a more like kind of mid-rangey green deck. Maybe yes, maybe no. But the ability to get Disenchant out of your sideboard, to get that big ramp spell out of your sideboard, get some card draw out of your sideboard, is pretty sweet. It's pretty sweet. So, Gnarled Professor, our best in show in green. Again, not the best in show ever of all time. But solid card. Solid card. For sure. The color combos are going to be separate. I'm going to do them all separately. Honor Troll is next. Get it? Honor Troll. 3 mana for a 2/3 Vigilance. If you gain life, instead you gain that much life plus 1, which is honestly fine. And then it gets +2/+1 as long as you have 25 more life. So, kind of a cool card, limited with all the Witherhaven tokens, which of course gain 2 life when they die. And then if you gain enough life, it's a 4/4 Vigilance, also fine. It's a solid card. It's just a solid card. It's fine, limited. Not really a card for constructed, but just an okay draft card. Puns! Get your puns here. Up next is Carrock Wrangler. 5 mana for a 3/3 Elf Druid. Magecraft. And if you cast into a sorcery spell, put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control. Expensive, but reasonable. Again, I always say it's important and limited. These effects that scale as time goes on. So the game goes on, the board stalls a bit, but you can keep scaling up, making things bigger, changing the board in different ways, are very valuable. The cost here is high, though. A 3/3 for 5 is like pretty expensive. Doesn't really affect the board turn you play it. And then you untap, maybe you cast a spell or two, it's pretty good. But it would take 2 spells to make this into a 5/5 to make it passable on rate. And then we need more from it. So it's okay. It's not great. It's going to obviously vary in power level based on the number of Magecraft stuff you have. If this card costs 4, I think it'd be pretty sweet. Like a really good card. But at 5 mana, it's just okay. It's fine. It's not great. If you have +1/+1 counter synergy, value goes up. If you have a lot of spells, value goes up. But all in all, just kind of like a middling limited card. Up next is Leyline Invocation. 6 mana sorcery. Make a 0/0 green fractal with X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of lands you control. So basically, it's just a vanilla 6/6 that gets bigger as the game goes on. This is a fine curve topper. As I said earlier, the real big thing in this set is any spell that makes a creature is a lot better than it looks, because it triggers Magecraft and it's a creature. Because the problem that always happens with prowess cards, so Magecrafts are kind of like prowess cards, is that you have this conundrum where I have my prowess payoffs that are usually creatures, Soulscar Mage and whatever, Sprite Dragon, and then I have my prowess enablers, which are spells. And the more spells I add, the less threats I have. The more threats I have, the less spells I have to trigger them. So whenever you have a card that can do both, it can be a threat that's a creature, because you gotta have your creature count high, as well as a trigger for your stuff, is pretty sweet. So this card's good. I think this card's very, very good. I like it a lot. There are a few ways to recur sorceries as well, which is kind of cool. You can copy this thing somehow sometimes, but it's really cool. Magecraft is really cool. Very, very solid common here. Much better than the usual like Colossal Dreadmaw, which is honestly often fine and limited anyway, but solid card. Just watch out for those token threatens, Constructed, obviously not, but up next is Mage Duel. 3 mana for a sorcery. That will cost 2 less to cast if you've already cast another instant or sorcery. So basically, Magecraft Affinity kind of, which is pretty good. Creature you control gets +1/+2 and then fights. This card's really, really good. Obviously, contingent on the number of Magecraft cards you have. Casting this card for 3 kind of sucks, but casting it for 1 is phenomenal. And if you're able to go like spell this, double Magecraft, boom, that's really, really good. Very solid draft card here. Again, you're going to want to have enough stuff to trigger it, but very, very solid draft card here. Limited, constructed probably not, but very, very solid draft card. Mastersymmetrist, green 2 for a 4/4. Reach, and whenever a creature you control with power equal to its toughness attacks, it's trample. This is a 4/4 trample for 4 with reach. Very solid card. Very solid draft card. A 4/4 reach for 4 is already fine. And then we should get trample too. So very, very solid, very, very solid draft card here. And then not playable constructed. Up next, we have a Overgrown Arch, 2 mana for an 0/4 wall. You can tap to gain 1 life, so there are life synergies in this set. So that's kind of a cool effect. Then you can pay 2 and sack it to learn. So similar to what's a card? What's it called? Wall of Mulch from Onslaught, where you can it's a wall early. You can cash it in late. Obviously, the learn effects are pretty good, so you can go get some learn card later, which is kind of cool. And just an 0-4 that gains a life every turn is pretty good. Like, play this on turn 2. It's going to gain you like 8 life over the course of the game. It's going to block some stuff too. So very, very solid draft card here. I think even as an 0-4 that gains 1 life a turn is pretty cool. And then the ability to learn late in the game is also sweet too. Very solid draft card here. Obviously more for like defensive decks and things like that, but very, very solid defensive card. Constructed, I could see it. I could see this card seeing play constructed. Might be a sideboard card, but the ability to block, gain some life, and then cycle for a card later is pretty sweet. This is a very real card. A lot of good things happen with this card for sure. Overgrown Arch, super cool card. Up next is Professor of Zoomancy. 4 mana for a 4/3. When it comes into play, you get a 1/1 black and green pest token. This card's a great draft common. The 3/2 that made a 1/1 was like okay. In prior formats, the 3/3 that made a 1/1 was also pretty good. A 4/3 for 4 and a 1/1 is pretty awesome. That's 5 power over 2 bodies for 4 mana. And sacrifice synergies, a little life gain, double blockers. She's brilliant, if a bit overbearing. The puns. But yeah, so very, very solid draft common. Like really, really good. Really good draft common. Constructed, no, but super solid draft common. Very high pick. Up next is Reckless Amplifier. 2 mana for a 2/2. Spend 5 to double its power and toughness. This is your usual bear. If you need a bear in your deck, you can play it. 5 mana to make it into a 4/4 is not particularly great. A little bit of plus and counter synergy here, obviously. But for the most part, this is just your typical bear with kicker for later in the game to not be irrelevant. Just okay. Up next is Scurrid Colony. 2 mana for a 2/2 with reach. Gets +2/+2 as long as you can control 8 or more lands. Didn't we just do this card? It's like the exact same freaking card. Literally I'm seeing double here, folks. I need my glasses. I'm seeing double. We got the bear with the ability that gets better late in the game. I get it. All right. I would say that Colony is probably better because it can block flyers, and then it's just a free pump later in the game. But just both draft filler bears. Up next is Spined Carrock. Oh, let's hear it for Spined Carrock. Here's what this card does. That's it. I read the whole card. No text. I love it. So yeah, it's 2/4 vanilla for 3. Decent booty, decent blocker if you need it. Just limited filler. Love it. Oh man, you get a break. You get a break here. Up next is Springmane Seravan. 3 mana for a 3/2. Gains 2 life. This is a solid draft card. It's a filler card, but I'm not like unhappy to put this card in my deck. Like, if your deck's really good, you won't play this card. But you definitely have a pretty solid card if you're playing it. Blocks, gains life. It's reasonable. Fine draft card. Tangle Trap. 2 mana for an instant. 5 damage to a flyer. Short target artifact. This is your typical sideboard card. Just if you play against flyers, you can sideboard this card. Aren't a lot of artifacts in this set, but there are some good rare ones, so just a sideboard card. Constructed, I mean, it could be a sideboard card. Fits the bill, you know. Up next is Vern Mastery, the green entry into the Mastery cycle, which is the like reverse kicker cards. 6 mana to search your library for up to 4 basic lands, put 2 in play and 2 in your hand, or you can spend 4 mana and search for 4 basic lands. You get 2 into play, you get 1 in your hand, and then your opponent gets 1 of the lands you searched up. So if they print some sort of like, you know, when this land comes into play, you lose the game. This card would be really good, but it's a reasonable card. Migration Path is still legal, which is the 4 mana gets you land cycling card. I'm not sure why you'd play this card over that card because the risk here is really big. Feels more like commander card. You know, I'll give you a land if you don't attack me. You know, so yeah, I mean, whatever. And then in limited, I can't imagine needing that many lands, but if you're playing like the 8-drop in your deck, then sure. You know, so again, folks, we've only done the monocolored cards. You got to understand, in a multicolored set, the majority of the set's power level is in the multicolored cards. So we're getting there, folks. All right, we're getting there. That's it. That's green. We're getting there faster than I thought we were. Yes. So if it wasn't basic land, you get command tower. That'd be kind of cool. You're playing standard, you give them a command tower. They can't even use it. That's fun. That's fun. But all right, that's green. YouTube folks, like, comment, subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, look for all the other colors in the other videos. All right, YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what your favorite green card was on YouTube. All right, thanks for watching. Appreciate it.